I have tried to film this video. This is, I think, my third time. I tried in October, hated it. Tried in November, hated it. So, today's the day. Alright? Today's the day. Hey y'all, what's up? What's going on? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Amber. For today's video, this is probably one of the most requested videos that I've had. The difference between bronzing and contouring. I have tried oh so hard to film this video. This is my third time, so hopefully today's the day we're going to be able to get this video out and up and running for you. Let's go ahead and jump into it. I have on some eyeshadow here. I've got on my concealer already. That's it. Eyeshadow that I have on, it's the Violet Voss, the rainbow eyeshadow palette here. This is what it looks like. I am actually going to return it just simply because I'm not into it. I bought this online, and online you can't tell what something looks like. I got it, okay, cool, put it on, wasn't impressed. It's not that it's a horrible palette, I wasn't wowed by it, and my motto is if I don't love it, don't buy it. So I'm gonna return it. Alright, so that's what's on my eyes. We are going to talk about bronzing and contouring, the difference between the two. I know it can be very, very tricky, especially for us women of color, just simply because it is a little different as far as the shades. It's like the rule of thumb is typically don't use your contour to bronze, but I feel like when you are deeper, you can kind of do so. If you're on the lighter side, the fairer side, even the medium, that can be a little bit tricky, but for us, it's a little bit different. So I'm going to start off by talking about bronzing first. I actually wanted to feature this Anastasia Beverly Hills, the new bronzer in Mahogany. I wanted to show you guys this on my channel today. However, I tested it out this morning and looks like mud on me. I don't know why, because in the pan it looks light, but for some reason when I put it on my face it looked like straight up mud. So unfortunately can't feature this, but I did want to let you guys know that I've been playing with it and I'm not a fan of this. However, let's talk about bronzers. So my favorite bronzers are CoverGirl Queen bronzer, everybody knows this, and then my other bronzer here, Shea Moisture Dusk Bronzer, the illuminating bronzers. Okay, so these are warm. I think something that people don't realize is, you know, black girls bronze too. You know what I mean? Like, we want to look nice and bronzy. For us, it's not a matter of bronzing to make our skin look darker, because we already are blessed with melanin. We're good to go on that. For us, it's just a matter of warming up the skin and giving it definition. And I'm kind of starting to realize maybe that's why matte bronzers don't really work for women of color, because I was excited about this one because it is a matte bronzer. However, it did nothing for me. I think because we do need more of the warmth, that's where the kind of shimmer or the little bit of sparkle comes into play. So the CoverGirl Queen, I feel like is definitely has more of a red undertone than the Shea Moisture. However, I feel like the Shea Moisture is much more deeper. Whenever I am bronzing, I like to use a bigger brush here. I like to use a blush brush to bronze, just simply because when you're bronzing isn't structured and strategic like a contour brush. So I prefer to use this. I feel like the bigger and the fluffier the brush, the better, because what can happen is sometimes if it's not a brush that's big enough, it might kind of just be like red streaks or warm streaks along your face, and that's not a good look. So I'm going to actually bronze with, what do I want to bronze with today? Let's bronze with the CoverGirl Queen. This is typically the one that I go with. I feel like right now, the way that my skin tone is, I haven't really been using either one of these, just simply because I feel like it's a little too red for me at the moment, but we're getting warmer. I'll be out in the sun a little bit more. I'll get my summertime chocolate melanin thing going on and it'll be good, but I'm going to use this one with this brush here, and I'm just going to swirl it in and tap it off. So whenever I bronze, I like to just go and swirl. So I'll start here and just kind of swirl it out. I love this brush just simply because it is tapered. So you kind of have a little bit more precision, but it's not going to give you that straight up structured precision. And I actually prefer bronzing with the blush brush. I know some brushes that are made to bronze, if you have a smaller or narrow face, they're too big, but I think this is good. It's standard. It works on everybody. So whenever I bronze, you typically want to bronze where the sun hits you. So I'll do here, on the perimeter of my face, and a little bit on the jaw. The placement for bronzing is very similar to contour. I think why people get confused is just simply because they go in too structured and strategic with the bronzer. Let me bring you guys in. So here, and swirling around the hairline, on the top of the head, a little on the jaw. Those are places where the sun naturally hits you. If you want to, you can go along the nose. However, I don't typically like to put bronzer around the nose because I feel like on the nose is when it pops off too red and it looks a little weird. So your main thing to remember with bronzing is it's not strategic. It's not perfect. You know what I mean? You can just throw it on and go on about your business. So as you guys can see, it's just a little bit of a warmth, a little bit of a glow going on. Now on the other side here, we're gonna do some contouring. So for contouring, I have 3 optional brushes that I have here. The first brush that I have, this is the brush that I've been using the most to contour. This is a Morphe M530. Gets the job done. She sheds like, so you get what you pay for. I believe this was $6. It is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. Another brush I like to contour with is a angled blush brush. Now, I like an angled blush brush for bronzing, for contouring, because I feel like it's gonna give you that nice structure. This is a Sephora brush. It is a little bit more fluffier than what I would like, but sometimes what I do is I just kind of pinch it and then just go along the sides of my jaw. And then another brush that I like for contouring is, this is a NARS dupe Ouidad brush. This is not the real Ouidad brush. That brush, I believe, is about, I don't know, crazy, obnoxious price, like $40. And I was like, ah, yeah, right, no, not doing that. So this is a dupe one. I got it off of Amazon. Works just fine. Now let's get into contours. Now let's get into contour shades that I have here. So I'm gonna show you this one. These are probably, these are my top 3. This is what I used to use back in the day. If you guys are familiar with the NYX Pro Contour and Highlighting Palette, the deepest shade in there. Might not look like it'll work for you, but it works. This is in the shade Hollow. This is a beautiful contour shade. I think for me, for my skin tone, I have golden undertones. I don't want something that's too cool because it'll look like mud, but then I don't want something that's too warm because then it'll look red and it'll no longer look like a contour. Contours are supposed to look like shadows. You don't necessarily have to go with a straight up hardcore cool contour, especially with your undertone, because if you have a golden undertone and you do just go straight up cool, it might look a little muddy on you. So here's the Hollow, and I want to show you guys in comparison to the CoverGirl Queen bronzer. Now, can you see how warm this is in comparison to the Hollow shade? And then we'll compare it up to the Shea Moisture Illuminating Bronzer. Again, you can see this is deeper, but it's definitely warmer than this one. Another good alternative, so that's our drugstore alternative for contouring. This is really good, and you can get the single one off of nyx.com. I think it might be like $2 to $3. Very, very affordable. Another option here is the Naked Shapeshifter palette. This is bomb because this is super user friendly. I hate contour palettes for consumers sometimes because I feel like they give you too many options. You know what I mean? You're stuck, let's say it's a 6-pan palette. You're probably going to use only 2 shades out of the 6-pan palette, so it's kind of like, that's a little bit of a waste of my money because I'm not using everything. However, I feel like this is perfect because this contour shade here is deep. If you are deeper than me and you're on the hunt for a contour shade, this works really well. When I use this palette, I typically go here because it contours me just fine. And then you have a yellow shade here you can use for highlighting, and then over here you have this kind of pinky gold for like a little bit of an illuminating highlighter. And then on the flip side here, you've got a cream contour, you've got 2 highlighting shades here, and then you have this orangey peachy tone for correcting, and then you have a shimmer highlighter. This palette is perfect. It is consumer friendly. It has everything that you need, and I feel like if you buy it, you won't feel like you've been gooped, because you get a little bit of, you get literally everything that you need, and you'll probably use the majority of this palette. And then secondly here, this is what I've been using the most, and I think this is what really encouraged me to really try the Anastasia Beverly Hills bronzer. This is nothing new. This has been around for a minute. This is the ABH Tan to Deep Contour Kit. Now, I bought this because it was half off, and my thought process was, if it doesn't work for me, I can use this in my client kit. No big deal, no money lost. So when I whipped this bad boy open, I was like, I wonder if this shade will work on me. It does. It works great. This is all I've been using for my contour recently. In fact, I'm not a big contour person. I prefer to bronze over contouring. However, like I said, with my skin tone at the moment, this is what's been looking good on me. Now, I feel like when it gets warmer and I am darker, I don't know that this will work for me, but it's cool because by then I will have switched over to this. So again, let's compare. You can see how the ABH contour is much cooler than the bronzer, and then let's compare this ABH contour to the new bronzer here. See, this is interesting to me because they look similar. Now, I'm looking at it in the mirror, and this definitely does look warmer than the contour shade. All right, so let's jump into how do we contour. This is very, very tricky, just simply because everybody's face shape is different, and that's honestly why I'm not a huge fan of straight up contouring tutorials. I feel like in a lot of the tutorials that I have seen, they leave out a huge major detail in the disclaimer, hey, if you don't have my face shape, this is not going to work for you. You know what I mean? For instance, I have a huge 5 head, all right? You see, y'all have seen it plenty of times. Sometimes when I'm doing eyeshadow, this is all you see, and you know, it ain't cute. However, if you have a short forehead, there is no need for you to contour up here, just simply because it's going to shorten your forehead. You are going to look like an alien. Your hairline is going to be sitting on your brows, and you're going to look crazy. I feel like that's stuff they don't tell you. Something else. Okay, let's say if you are wider here in this area. Whenever I see people highlighting with concealer and they go crazy and they pull that concealer all the way out, they don't realize is if you are already wider set in this area, the width here is wide, and then you pull your concealer too far out, all you're essentially doing is making your face wider, and you're gonna look like an alien, you know what I mean? So you have to shorten this and then pull your contour up. So those are a lot of things that I see. I don't know if it's just because of like my makeup artistry training, or you know, just people, like, I don't know it all either, so that's no shade, but that's just my disclaimer as to why I'm not technically a huge fan of highlighting and contouring tutorials, unless you are doing it specifically for, hey, this is how you do this face shape. So I'm going to show you guys how I contour, what I like to do for my specific face shape. If you are someone who has a large forehead like me, this will work for you. So what I will do is first, I'm going to swirl it in here, and this brush is a little bit more fluffier, but I like it because I can actually kind of turn it on the side and get more precision. So on my hairline, I'm going to turn my brush on the side here, and the forehead is basically pretty similar to the way that I bronze it. The only thing is, when I'm contouring, I might just bring it a little bit further down. So when I'm bronzing, I'm just kind of swirling and going on about my business, but when I'm contouring, I am going further down. Also, something else that I like to do is to shorten my head too on the sides. I'll really get in over here as well, just shading that. All right, next up, we're gonna go on the side. This is very, very important. I feel like sometimes, and I'm guilty of it too, it happens to me when people are contouring, they'll start their contour here, which is appropriate, and then they'll bring it all the way down. That is going to give you a massive jaw, unless that's what you're going for. you don't always have to contour the side. For instance, I see it a lot for some women that have just beautiful bone structure and it is just strong. If you're someone that has just like super already snatched cheekbones or just like a really strong bone structure, you don't necessarily need to do contouring, because sometimes it can make you look a little too strong in the face, and you might look a little drag-like. No shade, I'm here for drag queens. I think they are talented and the work that they do is insane. However, that's something you have to kind of keep in mind, and you have to really look at yourself and have a gut check. It's like, okay, what's my face shape? Do I have a strong face? Is this something that's going to work for my face shape? This is how this is different from bronzing, because with bronzing you can kind of go crazy. With contour you don't want to do that, because if you just kind of go crazy with it, you're gonna look like you have mud all over your face, and you're gonna lose that dimension and the shadow that you're trying to create. You don't want to start your contour too far low, because essentially that's gonna drag your face down. I say, if anything, if you want to be super snatch, my rule of thumb is always start in the middle of the ear and cut it right here at the cheek. I feel like if you go any further here, it's going to be too far down. Or if you want to have like really raise your cheekbones, I would put my brush here in the middle of the ear and then just bring it up a little bit, and that will really give you the illusion of higher cheekbones. So I'm going to swirl my brush in, tap off, and I am just going to start shading right here on the side. Now you can tell the difference with this immediately with bronzing, because with the bronzing I did a lot of swirling. With this, very strategic, and I'm just going back and forward, making sure that I'm stopping right here, because I don't want to bring my jawline, I don't want to have it too structured right here. And you can see, boom, nice and snatched. Now if I feel like it got a little crazy, I'll take like a powder brush and just kind of go over to smooth it out a little bit. Then just to go over one more time, so you guys can see, I'm going to make it a little bit more intense than I typically go. And I feel it helps to kind of turn your head to the side, so that way you can really see what you're doing versus just going straight on. Boom. So you can kind of see from the side now, I've got some shadow going on here versus here. So here you can see where it's a cooler tone, much more structured. Then on this side of my face, you can see it's just kind of more of a warm glow going on. Next up, I like to do my jawline. Again, if you've got a strong jaw, you might want to scale back on this, but I will go a little bit right here, not too much. And then something else that I will do, I'll pinch my brush and I'll go along the sides of my nose just to kind of give it some more structure and dimension. This is something that I see a lot of people do wrong with their contour. A lot of people will just do one straight line. Essentially that doesn't do anything but just gives you a straight line down the sides of your nose. When you're going to contour the sides of your nose, you need to make sure that you're going down the side, but you are also getting into this socket right here, because this is going to give you the illusion of a structured nose. That's why I like a brush like this. This is perfect for that because it's already nice and skinny and tightly dense, so you can do it with this, or take your brush, whatever you want, and I just prefer to squeeze it and get in there really good. Boom. So you can see here, it just gonna really, it'll open up everything, and it really just gives you more dimension. So now you're probably wondering, okay, cool, Amber, you know, that's great. Powder, what do you feel about cream? I feel that creams in photography, yes, they do look more natural. However, in photography, it looks more natural. I'm not talking about all these little tips that I give you guys. For the most part, it's never for photography. I feel like makeup for photography is a whole different thing, and my makeup is geared towards the everyday woman for everyday life. So if you are going to be doing photography and you want to do a little cream contouring, I feel like yes, absolutely. But in person, I feel like sometimes with cream contouring, it can look like there's mud on your face if it is not appropriately blended out to the T. And if you don't take away anything from this video, please hear me with this, because I feel like this is probably the most serious, the most crucial. You do not have to contour your face to have a look. I know it's hard sometimes with social media, especially. I love the way that makeup has evolved and how there's so many great artists. You can pull inspiration, and I feel like I feel like sometimes it can kind of make you feel like, oh my gosh, well, if I don't do a cut crease then my makeup's not good, or if I don't do a contour then my makeup's not good. Me, as a full-time hairstylist and makeup artist, I don't have time in the morning to go through all that. No one has time for that. That's not everyday practical for us, all right? No. Now, if I'm going out, or if I'm doing something extra special, or if a look specifically calls for it that I'm creating, cool. But on an everyday basis, I do not contour my face. If I do anything, I'll take this little palette here, I'll go like this, and call it a day, and I'm done, out the door. But 9 times out of 10, I'm bronzing. So please don't feel like you have to do every single makeup step that you see others do, or that you even see me do. Do what you can do, and do what's practical for you, and do what works for you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't gotta do all that extra stuff, all right, guys? There's like, you don't have to do all that extra stuff. It's not necessary. All right, guys, so I look crazy. I've got contour and everything's just uneven, but I just really want to show you guys different brushes, different products, and different techniques. I really hope that this helped you to understand the difference in contouring and bronzing. Let me know down below if this was helpful. Also, if you know any other contour shades or bronzers that are great for women of color, please drop those down below, because I'm always looking for some, and I know you guys are well. I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.